All right. This is a good one today. Fernando and I have been doing these podcasts, and a lot of times, uh, the goal is to inspire, motivate, uh, put out the challenge to people. Um, and we've talked about some epic races and some challenges of conquering a mountain or going through a Cape Epic massive stage. But today we have Ben Thompson who's joining us. Fernando's the coach, Ben's coach. His journey is pretty incredible and one that will inspire and motivate others for sure. And it's got it's a little more dynamic. So, welcome to the podcast. This is going to be a great one. We're going to be able to talk about your journey and Fernando's kind of leadership and guidance along the way.
Sounds good to me. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of them while I've been riding my bike, and now I'm happy I can be here and be part of one.
I'm glad. They're great trainer videos. Yeah, pass the time. So tell us, who's Ben Thompson?
Yeah, so I live in Houston, 5 minutes from Fernando, so I've got no excuses for training.
Nice.
But yeah, originally from the UK, lived in the US now for about 20 years, and then engineer in corporate America.
Got it.
Have a wife. We've been married for 4 years now.
Nice.
And then we've got a 2.5-year-old daughter that, that's been a challenge balancing everything with.
With the Ironman training. And Fernando's been your coach for how long have you coached Ben?
2 years.
2 years?
2.5.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
I already see the challenge of married, corporate world, 4-year-old, and Ironman. Like that equation. And a lot of people have that. That's a pretty common situation. As a coach, you see that quite a bit, right?
Yeah. Most people I coach or I mentor or I influence are professionals.
Yeah.
People that have, like me, a job and a wife and a dog and kids and everything else. So, and I love that because that is the challenge. The race is part of it, but in reality, the challenge of going through all of that is immense. So
yeah, immense. Yeah, and the Ironman seems to bring in people that are professionals or high achievers, or they're successful in life, family, but they're looking for some other challenge. What kind of brought you into the Ironman? What made you fill out that thing and hit send?
Yeah.
That's a big moment, and you got to talk your wife into it. You got to buy the equipment. You got to hire a coach. Like what was about Ironman?
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up as a swimmer, and so sports always been part of my life.
Right.
Went to university, gave up the swimming, came out, did the marathon thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, what's next? And I was, in my mid-20s, so maybe it's my quarter-life crisis.
Yeah.
But I said, by the time I turned 30, I want to do an Ironman, not really knowing what exactly that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were sat on the beach in our honeymoon, and I saw some people in Ironman clothes training on the beach in Costa Rica. I was like, well, I think it's a good idea I start, trying to do that. And that was November of 2021. And by January, I found Fernando, and I was signed up for, at the time, Ironman Cozumel. I went all in from the beginning. It was just a bucket list item before I turned 30.
That's
incredible. Most people will come and say, do you think I can do this? Of course you can. Yeah, that's my immediate answer, right?
Yeah. Fernando's and he's a living example. Like anything is possible, and there's no challenge that's too big. Although you said it was you broke the news during your honeymoon.
Yeah. I don't think either of us really knew what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. She's very supportive.
Yeah.
But it was more one of those things like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Go do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I signed up, and we were kid free at the time too. So that was a big difference.
That adds a big piece to the puzzle. So challenging as in its own right, but you also there's another layer, right, for you on a challenging level. And Fernando and I talked about a little bit. You want to kind of get into that a little bit, because I think that sort of shapes the whole story.
Yeah. So because we're talking about my myasthenia, right?
Yeah.
So when I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with what's called Myasthenia Gravis, or MG for short. It's probably the easier way. And to put that in a nutshell, what does it mean? It means that my body has like rapid fatigue of my muscles. Fortunately, and that is through voluntary movement. So, basic things that you do on a daily basis, like running, walking, over time, your body can handle that, but my body doesn't handle that without medication. So I'm very fortunate that I am on medication. I've got a great support team. But what does that mean from like a training aspect? It means that I get tired quicker. It means that, when you see people running certain paces, my body can't do that. And then it means when people are training 15 to 20 hours and only, taking a day's rest or having a set day's rest, I've got to take a step back and say, what is my body telling me? It takes longer for me to recover than most people. So I've just got to keep that always in my mind. And so, yeah, it's been a challenge balancing, all the training and not feeling guilty that you're not doing the training, but, working with Fernando just to, adjust based on what my body's telling me. That's
The fascinating thing is you can not even tell that he has.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, to have that and do an Ironman, do you know is there any other have you met anybody else? Like, I know there's groups and whatnot.
I have not. And I actually, I'm sure there's people out there. There's obviously different levels of severity of the disease. I would say that my neurologist every time is amazed with what my body can do.
Yes.
And she uses me as an inspirational story to other patients who are maybe just trying to even get out of bed during the day or trying to run a 5K or trying to walk their dog. And so, I'm very lucky that I have it under control. And it's not something that people can see, like Fernando said. It's definitely something I can feel. But yeah, it's been great to connect through, I guess, my doctor and then the team.
Oh yeah, the inspiration alone. And then from the coaching perspective, this is a new challenge. Ironman itself is difficult. And now we have another layer. Training's fatiguing, racing's fatiguing, all of it's fatiguing. Now we have another layer. We have to be careful with this. This is new for you as a coach.
Yeah.
No blueprint, right?
Right. For me, first of all, it's an honor because it's like he's putting a little bit of his life in my hands
to trust,
to kind of to try the trust, right? And so that has worked very well. And I try actually not to treat Ben as any different than the other athletes, to be honest, because I know he can do what he said to do, and that's that. So, but then of course you have to be mindful, and we ran a couple of times together, or more than a couple of times, and he'll say, I could tell he doesn't have to tell me that I had to slow down, and and that's that, and I don't ask, I don't push him, and because I believe that what we do is for fun. He's a professional. He's not going to be a professional athlete at this point in his life, unless he changed his mind and he didn't tell me. But other than that, we do this for fun. So, and I want him to enjoy this journey and in a safe way. So, we try to progressively take a person like Ben through a journey that starts in I don't know, a 5 hour per week training, and then you take it to 7 and then to 10 and so on and so forth, right? And always ask, and perhaps I don't ask enough because he's so good at not making this a deal, right? So you just go for it, and it's good. And once in a while, I ask, "Hey, you still okay?" I'm great, and that's
good. Which is a testament to your relationship. I mean, that's the most. I think I coach as well as of my profession, but I also coach triathletes as well, and I think the communication and the trust is the key, more important than anything else. And we'll get into Ironman Texas in a bit, but just so we understand and the listeners understand this MG, how does that feel? How does that impact? Kind of walk us through that, what that might be like versus somebody without it, like in a race, in a workout. Keep us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I notice, so we live in Houston. It's hot. It's
Yeah.
humid. Heat actually makes the conditions and the symptoms worse.
Whoa.
So, from about May through to May of the following year, it's terrible. Right? So you get like 3 days a year. It's nice weather.
Exactly.
So, from my standpoint, when I train during the winter, you can notice in my running just my ability to push myself. I mean, it's about somewhere between a minute to a minute and a half per mile.
Yeah, that's
not just like, oh, it's tired, it's hot. It's like, okay, my body just can't do this.
So it's a cooling thing, like a way to disperse the heat.
So I do. I sweat a lot.
Yeah.
And so I've taken a lot of fluid.
Right.
But more, it's just like, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't, it's just, you feel tired.
Yeah.
And then your recovery is longer. Or, what I tell a lot of people is when you start doing push-ups, it's like the first 3 are great. And then you're like, oh, I'm tired. Yeah. Or for me, it's like after 1, it's like I'm done.
Got it.
So it's that ability to continue at the same strength is it just isn't there.
Yeah.
I'd say from a recovery standpoint too, it's, you get up in the morning and, when you put your body weight on your legs, you can feel like, oh, they're kind of like, they're not just sore from a workout, but like they're tired. And so constantly doing that through workouts that for normal people, they'd be able to just get up and do it.
Right.
And that's where I notice it the most.
And is the run more you feel more on the run than the bike?
He's an extremely good swimmer.
I know. Yeah.
Yes.
You have the swim background and
He
swimming.
beats me on the swim.
Well, he's a swimmer. And Fernando has a pool, by the way, just so here, and you're still beating him in the pool, but but obviously swimming's not weight bearing, biking isn't weight bearing, but a lot of muscle endurance there, running weight bearing and muscle endurance. You feel more on the run. I mean,
And I would also say too that swimming comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
Running was the next sport I picked up,
Right,
probably the one that I do more than biking. I'm not the best at getting on the bike as much as I should, whether it's indoors or outdoors.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I tend to pace myself more on the bike versus a run. It's like, let me get outside and run as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And that's where
you're the opposite of most triathletes who do not like to swim.
Yeah.
They suffer on the run and they love to bike.
You're the
opposite.
So something about the biking is that he barely bike. He barely knew how to ride the bike 2.5 years ago.
He didn't even own a bike.
He didn't have a bike. We bought a bike together. He paid for it. Then we learned to clip in, we learned the positioning, we learned the fitting, and that's a lot, for a new person. And like you said, most people had that, or the running.
Yeah,
he had the swimming. So that's
the complete opposite of 90% of the triathletes out there who all they want to do is ride their bike and ride it fast and just suffer on the bookends of it.
Right.
Yeah. So let's take a step back. You said this is your second Ironman.
Yep.
Second Ironman. Let's go back to the first Ironman a little bit. Was that also Texas?
Ironman Waco. So last year they held it in 2022.
2022, yes.
I was there.
I think I was there for the 70.3 the next day.
That's right.
Because you made it to Kona there.
I did both that year.
Yeah, you did it back to back. The Saturday and the half.
I ran the full,
and
then and it's a good story, by the way. We can talk about it a bit, but I waited for Ben until midnight, and then the next day I went for the half. But
he ran by me on the half too.
Yeah,
because I beat him on the swim, and then I got away from him on the bike, and then he ran by me.
That's right.
Which was humbling because he had done the full Ironman the day before.
That was interesting.
Okay, so we go first Ironman. Did you go in with many? Had you done any triathlons prior? Not a sprint, not a.
I did a triathlon in high school as part of off season, and that was it.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count at all.
Yeah, and I remember Fernando telling me like, "Oh, well, you should maybe try a half." I'm like, if I do a half, there's no way I'm probably to do this full. So let's just go straight to it. The
allure of the Ironman, something drew you. I always ask this, and I think it's like the inspiration. I'm a little older than you, but my inspiration's always been the TV coverage of Kona and the Hawaii, right? And I used to watch that. It was on NBC Sports, I guess. It was a big deal. But what about what is this about the Ironman to go out Yeah.
To be honest, before I started, I had absolutely no idea what the triathlon world was like, what it meant to go to Kona. I'd heard of it.
Yeah.
I heard of it was a triathlon. It's a long race. Yeah, I think for me, having the MG kind of derail my plans when I was in high school, swimming in college, and having a sports career. I think coming back, it's always been like, what can I push my body to do next?
Yeah.
I also, and so that's why I went marathon. And then, that case, I did do a half marathon before a marathon. So I did do that. But yeah, I think for me, what it really was down to was, proving back to myself just what I'm capable of. And almost like I have control over my body and I have control over what I can achieve. And to me, I know there's other races out there that are similar distance and similar, challenges, but yeah, Ironman's probably the most well-known brand for 140.6 miles. And so that's all I knew going in. And, I haven't had anybody else in my family that's done one. So for me, it was just just went in and did it.
And was the challenge in itself is 140.6, but also with this MG condition, was that a combination motivation, or were you like, I'm gonna do the Ironman no matter what? I've done the marathon with it. Where were you on that?
Yeah, I actually don't think I think about it as a roadblock every day or something I'm trying to overcome, because now I've lived with it now for 15 plus years. It's just part of who I am. I think, but when you go down to like what motivates you as a person and like what drives you, I think that's just rooted in there. Not necessarily that I'm trying to overcome something every day because of having energy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What I tell Ben and the rest of people I coach is use this as it's a way of living. So don't take this as it is training in a way. Take it as it's part of your life, like brushing your teeth. And that's what he ended up doing. And I think that helped. And like we always talk about this, is the mental part is the most important, right? And that's where somebody like Ben is excelling at, like having that mental strength to keep going. And and sometimes, by the way, I think when somebody has either a condition or a pain or something, in a way, sometimes it's even better. I don't mean that it's good to have anything, but sometimes you feel like empowered to do more than the rest. So in a way, I don't know how.
I know exactly your
point. But
point.
that's the mindset, right?
Yeah. And you give so much to the Ironman, but the Ironman gives back, right? Like and people don't understand that until
and
later
you feel
on.
like a superhero, right?
Yeah, and it helps you in your family, your relationship, your job, your parent now, and all of that. It parallels, and people don't understand we sacrifice a lot for it, and we give a lot, but a lot comes back. Yeah. So let's go. Let's give a quick. So you go to Waco. Never really. You did a high school sprint triathlon. Now you line up. Let's talk about it. What did you have expectations? Did you have goals? Was it I just want to finish? Where were you at?
Yeah, to be honest, I probably went in a little bit too cocky going into Waco. The goal was always to finish.
Right.
But I always thought, I was like, oh, I can do this. It's whatever. I also, looking back, focused on 100% the wrong sport. I was like, oh, I'm a good swimmer. Let me do a lot of swimming. And
work on your strengths.
Let me work on my strengths.
Typical triathlete.
I run with Fernando. Let me make sure that I'm consistently doing that. And then the biking, I'll get on the bike once a week. And then I did one long ride, and it was 100 mile. I'm like, oh, I did 100 miles. I can finish 112. So I went in thinking like, well, the swim's easy. I've run a marathon and I've done a 100-mile bike. We're good to go. And typical Texas weather threw a curveball that day. And it was supposed to be 80 degrees, sunny. I thought this is great, perfect, no wind out there. And it ended up being like 105, 106. And degrees Fahrenheit, and to be honest, that completely threw me. Especially on the bike, no shade, the wind that taught me that you need to train outside on the bike, and the heat, obviously with my MG, kind of made that day pretty bad. And, I got off the bike and I started running a mile, and I was like, Oh, and actually on the bike, I got my first ever flat twice. So I got 2 flats on the bike course. Never, I knew how to change a tire, so I practiced that a lot.
Next question.
But yeah,
we learned that part.
we did. Yeah, I learned how to change a tire, and never happened before.
Yeah.
And it happened twice during my first Ironman. And then, I got a mile into the run. I thought, I've got 2 options here. I can keep running, and I'm going to throw up, and I'm going to dehydrate, and then I'm not going to finish, or I can walk this. And to be fair, I was walking at a 14-minute mile pace,
which is not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Pace.
Oh yeah.
And so, but it was 26.2 miles at that pace. And so, like Fernando alluded to earlier, he stayed up till midnight to watch me cross the finish line. And
good coach, right?
It was, especially with the race the next day as well.
So what happened is I finished, I don't know, 6 p.m. or something like that. And I did my things. I went to the hotel. I needed to do the half the next day. And suddenly, I don't know, 9 p.m. I went to bed. I couldn't sleep thinking of Ben, to be honest. I told him. So I ended up going back to the finish line until he finished. I saw his parents, and they were all concerned. I don't know where he's gonna finish. Don't worry. And then he finally showed up, and it was impressive. I was. I don't usually go and watch anybody. This is one of those that epic for me because I have good memories of it.
Yeah, the finish line is incredible as a spectator, but certainly as your first Ironman. Did your parents come from England, or were they? Are they here?
They live here too.
They're here as well. Okay, yeah. So they were there.
Parents, wife. And
the whole crew.
She was 38 weeks pregnant at the time and running around Ironman trying to.
Oh my God! So that's incredible.
She did more of a journey than I did. That.
Oh yeah. So when you finished that, did you feel like, hey, I checked the bucket list, on to the next thing, or were you like, I want to do that again? Where were you on that?
I remember crossing the finish line, sitting down, and having a slice of pizza, and I was like, that wasn't too bad. It was really bad. It was a lot of pain the next day.
Yeah.
I didn't immediately sign up. So 2 weeks later, my daughter was born.
Yeah.
That threw a wrench in everything in terms of training. I mean, you need consistency, and babies are not consistent. You need sleep, and babies don't sleep.
Yeah.
And so, I then kind of shuffled to like smaller races. So I did Escape from Alcatraz next, which is an 18-mile bike. It's hilly, but it's an 18-mile bike, not 112. And so finally, once I felt like we'd gotten our life under control, we were past the first year of maybe even 18 months. That's when I was like, okay, traveling is not easy. So let's look at doing Ironman Texas locally. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for it again.
Yeah.
Despite the heat and the challenge, because Texas is notoriously, besides Kona, probably it's the hottest one on the circuit.
Yeah,
it has to be. Yeah. But it's convenient. The family can be there. You can, So that was how many years in between Waco and
October 22, and then
25
April of 25. So about 2.5 years.
Okay, so let's walk through that. So now you have an athlete who's completed one, struggled a little bit on the run, learned a lot, but now is an Ironman, and did Escape from Alcatraz, incredible race. What were we looking at for the second one?
Well, like most people, Ben was no different, I don't think, but you can help me remember. People, they finish excited, but then for a few weeks they disappear.
Yeah.
So they don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
They just don't come to run anymore. And I let them be, of course, and no pressure whatsoever. But then, most people come back and say, okay, I want the next one, right?
Yeah.
And I think the approach that we took, even up to now, is like, okay, let's have fun again, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that mean for somebody like Ben? Well, he spent 15, 16 hours, I don't even remember, whatever it was. Okay, well, the challenge is to do it in less, right? Like, whatever that means. Yeah. Whether it's 30 minutes or 1 hour, and if you do that, that's amazing, right? And, especially since Ben was promoted in his job, and he had the baby, and
Yeah.
all these
Oh, yeah.
other new things, traveling and so on. Life gets more demanding, so you have to figure out how to do a second big massive race like Ironman, and on top of everything. So we took it again slowly, not like at this time. Now he knew how to ride a bike, but you still you continue,
Yeah.
you continue, you have lessons learned, from the race, whether it's the transition. Most people, including Ben, take 7, 10 minutes, 15. I don't know how long it took.
25 T2. It
Ah,
was hard and it was bad.
that's a whole nother event.
Right. So, you have to talk about it.
Yeah,
Like,
for
okay,
sure.
hey, Ben, you can't be 25 minutes on a transition. So you have to speed it up, right? But yeah, I would say now you have a baseline,
Yes.
right?
Experience.
And you know what the person can do,
Mhm.
right? And then you just try to take it to the next level, right? And that's what we do. And that's what we did. And I think that took us to Ironman Texas.
Which I can't wait to talk about.
Yes, right.
How does your week, how do you fill it all in? It's a challenge for a lot of people, with families and jobs and commutes and, how do you fit in Ironman training? What do you have, what's your week, not, day by day, but how do you make that work?
Yeah, I think it's been an adjustment. So in my job, sometimes I have 6 a.m. meetings. Sometimes I have to be in work till 8:30. Sometimes I have 8 p.m. meetings. So setting a consistent training schedule is just not possible.
Yeah, that's
I think I've landed on this is my own rule, I guess, is like a 2-2-2 during the week.
Yeah.
As if I can get 2 runs in, 2 bikes in, and 2 swims in.
Yeah.
Tuesday through Friday, then I'm good.
Gotcha.
If I'm doing less than that, it's probably because my body's telling me, okay,
Yeah.
like you're tired, you're coming off a big week or something like that. And then a long run on Saturday morning with the group.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, 75% of the time,
Yeah.
a long bike, whether it's likely indoors or now I'm trying to be better and go out with the team. So
that has been one of the challenges for Ben. He with the baby, and one of the things that takes a lot of time is going out and bike. And if you take the bike in a car and you spend 1 hour, because we live in the city, and then ride the bike for 2, 3 hours and then come back. So total 5, 6 hours, somebody like him cannot do that.
Yeah.
So what we start doing is on Sundays, we go on a ride from here, and we go on road bikes, and we take a light, and we go super early so people like him can go back home at 8:30 or 9, and say, hi, honey, and
kid is awake.
and everybody, oh, nothing happened, right? So
Yeah.
and that's what I've done for many years myself,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good one.
And that has been a bit of a challenge. Ben sometimes cannot come on the long rides, and that's that. Now recently we adjust that, and now we're meeting during the week very early on. Like yesterday we went for a bike ride
5 a.m.
at 5 a.m. lights on, nobody on the streets.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know if you.
Yeah. And you've done some Zwift meetups. You've done some of that too.
Yeah.
You can ride through the virtual world of Zwift.
Yeah, we started in the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I started doing some virtual rides, and then some challenges, and people start joining us, and Ben was one of them. Again, 5 a.m. so that people can get to work. That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
Every day, 4:45 up. In 10 minutes, I'm on my bike right here in this garage.
It's pretty incredible.
And then I don't fail all that.
Oh, I know. I see it on Strava. Yeah, I know exactly what you do.
And we create events and meetups, and that's and if nobody's there, I don't care. I just do it anyway. And Ben has joined me many, many times there, and it's another way to manage time.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it about Fernando as a coach and a mentor? What does he, obviously he's writing your training plans and kind of guiding you through with the flexibility of your schedule and MG. But what is it about Fernando that you think has helped you so much to because you made a big jump from Waco now Texas, which we're about to talk about. But what is it about Fernando? Is it his personality?
You better be good because
Put a long bike on your schedule.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, what I need is somebody that can be flexible and somebody that understands what I'm going through.
Yeah.
As being a parent, working in corporate America, being married, and then, every time I normally say, hey, it's 5 o'clock at night. Can you back in the morning?
Yeah.
Let me check. In 5 minutes later, yes.
Yeah.
And so to be able to support me in that way, and we don't get fixated on numbers. I think that's something that people tend to get fixated on when they train.
Yeah.
It's, I didn't get my 20-mile bike in, but you rode an hour.
Yeah.
And we focus a lot more on time and not so much distance.
Yeah.
And for me, that's helped me because not knowing how my body's going to be that day and how long it would take me, it's hard to plan that way. But if it's go ride an hour or go run an hour, I know that I can achieve that.
Yeah.
And so it's been that's what I like about his support and his coaching style.
Right. I like it. He's inspiring too, because he also he walks the walk. He doesn't just say do this. He actually does that, which
I think that's
a big
makes
part.
a difference to people. And this is feedback I got directly from Ben and others. Is like, hey, you're doing this with us, right? So that's what people want. Besides having a social environment to do this, is somebody that can push the envelope. Today I ran with somebody I'm coaching, and we, and this lady wanted to run an 8-minute mile. She never did, and we knocked that out, and she was almost dying. That we make it happen, and I could understand there are coaches out there that may not be able to run these times or this speed, and that's okay. I do it, and that's what I think is an advantage for us, because I hope that's an inspiration for them, and eventually I get old there, and and then I won't be able to keep up, and that's what I don't know if this is a say, but probably what a master does, right? Is to, and I will be so happy. I've seen some people that end up being better than me, and that is no better than that. I love it, even though I try to prevent that all the time. The day they become better is that when you master the discipline, I think, because you've been able to pass it on, and that's the satisfaction.
That's cool. The student over the teacher. Yeah,
that's right.
So, let's get to it. Ironman Texas, right? You sign up. Second Ironman, local. You're gonna have the family there again. Fernando's done every single one, so you've got good intel there. Did you go in with any goals? Did you go in like what was your mindset going in when you hit that button?
Yeah, I think I went. So first one was just do better than the first time. It's always finish. You always got to say, of course. Second one's do better than I did the first time. So that was finish at 11:59, not midnight. But I think for me, it got down to, well, many people have said they've done one.
Yeah.
How many people have said they've done multiple? And so for me, it was always like, okay, I'm going to do another one just so, I can say I'm a multi-Ironman finisher. And I think for me, that was really the goal going.
Right.
Was to finish and do better than the previous
one. And like Fernando said, you have lessons learned. Maybe we should bike a little more, maybe, right? All these things. So walk us through the race. Like how'd it go down?
Yeah, I think, so I mean, actually having a child helped me train better for this, a lot more discipline. Post 7 p.m. you are housebound. And so actually getting on a bike and biking for an hour to an hour and a half, I did that a lot more. So a lot of my training was indoors from a biking perspective. But I think that really showed in the race, and I was actually really nervous for the swim because I hadn't swam to the same amount that I had the previous time. And you
went to your strengths first one. Yeah, you played your strengths, and then you went to your weakness the second one. And
then the swim was really good. I I did get a bit of cheating, which was unexpected from the swim skin. I don't practice open water. I just get in the pool and swim.
Yeah.
So I did get a bit of
No
cheating.
wetsuit?
No, not wetsuit legal this
Right.
year. Wetsuit optional.
Right.
I guess I could have won one if
Glad you didn't, though.
yeah, wouldn't have qualified.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Glad you didn't.
would have been eligible for
Yeah.
a slot. But yeah, swim was just the swim for me. I was nervous that it was probably a bit of like, what have I gotten myself into at that start line versus, I didn't really swim that much this time. So I felt a little bit undertrained.
You've been there.
And he beat me like by 10 minutes or so in the swim, so which is a lot.
Two for two on being finished this way.
And I'll go ahead and remind you guys again, Fernando has a pool in his front yard.
That's right. Which I barely use.
Which he barely uses. So you are a swimmer. You didn't swim as much. Fine, you finished. You swam well. Bike. Was a bike a big difference from... had to be a big difference from Waco to Texas.
It was, and I think that there'd been some horror stories from the year before on the wind, and I think that's what had got in my mind was how bad the wind's going to be. I did have a slight mechanical issue on the bike starting at like mile 20, and it was really minor, but basically my water tank was not. I needed a tool to tighten it. Didn't have that, and so the vibration from the road and on the bike was actually causing the water tank to basically unscrew and fall off.
Loosen up.
So that in the back of my mind was the whole race was, is this water tank going to fall off into my wheel and then I'm going to go flying everywhere?
Yeah.
I'd say the first 60 miles of the bike were good, and then you turn around and then you're heading south on the Hardy Tour Road again, which is the direction of the wind. It was not all of the wind, but when you're 60 miles in already, you're like, why is this wind here? So I was pretty miserable for the next 15 miles. And then on the way back, I mean, the curveball there was that the wreck that happened that day, that basically a cement 18-wheeler came over onto the side of the freeway. And,
that was incredible.
So we were all diverted around it again. Another thing that just threw you off. And but yeah, I think overall you could tell the heat was starting to pick up. Because I'd done most of my training indoor on a bike. I'd done more training, but the wind was a factor, and then having the the water tank that was falling off. I think it kept me occupied for the 112 miles, but
a little fear in there, and
but definitely about mile 80 in my head, I was like, I'm done with this. When is this over? 32 more miles to go. But I knew around mile 80, which is about the mileage I get bored at on a bike anyway. I was like, okay, I'm ready to be in a different position now. So,
was your bike time better than Waco?
Yeah, so I dropped. So my swim time was better. Actually, if I go back, it was about 5 minutes faster than Waco, even though I trained less.
That was what, 1:10? 1 hour 10 minutes.
This year,
swimming.
Yeah, I did 1:15 at Waco, 1:10.
That's impressive, right?
Yeah, 1:10 in I guess in Texas. I actually don't know what my transition time was. It's never T1 that's slow. It was always
T2. Coach will know that one.
What I will say is that my wife made a comment and said, every person that comes out of T1 is running to their bike. They're putting things on, putting sunscreen on, and I just come out the tent, walking along. I'm like, you've got another 14 hours.
I know.
Why do we have to run that small distance to the bike?
I know.
So that was T1, and then but the bike was I didn't get any flats in Texas, and I want to say I was about an hour and 20 minutes faster on the bike from Waco to Texas.
That's a lot.
And probably about, and I went back and looked at my bike computer, and probably about 25 minutes of that was related to the tank and me trying to fix it.
So you actually stopped trying to mess with it.
I stopped multiple times because it was at the point that I was actually using my leg to knock the water tank back into the bike. I was like, okay, it's getting to a point that I need to stop.
But that's part of it, right? So
and
that's one thing we always talk about. Be ready for anything, right? So whether it's a flat, whether it's anything that could happen, and we talk about that, and very well handled.
So that was the bike, and then T2 a lot better. I mean, it wasn't as hot as it was on that day in Waco. Again, I don't know how slow I went through T2, how fast I went through. It wasn't 25 minutes though. And I do remember in Waco, I got all the way out to the run start, and I actually forgotten to put my race belt on, and so I had to run all the way back, trying to communicate to someone in Waco, and that was part of the 25 minutes. This time I stuck my race number in my running shoe, so I didn't forget that.
That's
Incredible.
interesting.
Yeah. And then
got to the run.
Yeah, and the run in Texas is a 3-lap, 3-loop.
Yeah.
You know,
8.5.
Yeah, eight and some change. Really supported by people, right? The line, you know, there's some quiet, dead spots, but great for like your family, right?
Yeah.
Now you're a dad, so you have your child there, right? Supporting your parents, I'm sure there.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the unique things about Texas that get me around that loop again. I want to see my family. Get me around there again. You always run well when everybody's there, you know.
Yeah, you try to run.
Yeah, no matter how you feel, you're gonna run. But talk quick. How did the run feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was hot. I came off and I was like, "This is miserable."
Yeah.
Fernando told me there was no hills. There was one hill. And it's really not even a hill.
Yeah, the grass.
The little cross thing. It's terrible.
Yeah.
When you're 100+ miles in. But yeah, it was really hot, and I think first loop was fine.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy went on there, and I saw Fernando the first loop. I think you were on the second loop at the time. So that was good, and I think we ran together for I don't know
for 10 seconds.
10 seconds, and then Fernando was off.
Yeah, and I don't want to be mean to them, but I saw him and another a couple of athletes. Okay, keep it going. Not much I can watch.
Everybody's running their own race. That's the beauty.
And I'm tired too.
Yeah. And there's something about being that far into it. Your mind isn't all there. You're low on glycogen, and you have your senses aren't 100. You're not sharp. Yeah.
And then lap 2, I was like, okay, I actually did all of lap 1 running continuously, which was 8.5 miles in, and I didn't stop other than the aid stations. Right.
Incredible.
Second lap, I was like, okay, I'm going to do run 0.9 of a mile, walk 0.1 of a mile, which actually fed into the aid stations. So then I cheated myself and said, okay, when I see an aid station, I can stop anyway. And so that was number 2. But to be honest, that was a run to the shade as fast as you can kind of lap, because the first 2 to 3 miles of that route not shaded at all, and it's peak heat of the day, and so but the back half is shaded, and you're going through the woods, and it's really nice. And that was lap 2, and the time I got to see my family on that lap. That was great. And then lap 3, it's just all right. This is it. This is the final one.
Survival.
We went. Then I dropped it down to run 0.4, walk 0.1, and I just mentally I kept dropping that. But it was just a run walk scenario all the way to the end.
And obviously finished a lot faster than Waco. Did you get that same emotional feeling as you did for your first Ironman?
Yes. I'm not the person that's going to bawl out and say, "Oh my gosh, I did that." I think I'm the person like, "Oh God, this is over." But it's such a good feeling that it's over and like what you've been able to achieve. I'm also the kind of person that like reflects back and lives off of that, as opposed to there's so much going on in the time. And I will say that when you finish at midnight in Waco, which was a smaller race, like a quarter of the size of Texas, like the ending is great and you've achieved something, but when you go to Texas and you're finishing, just as the sun's setting and there's the music and everything that's going on, it's very overwhelming at the same time. And I think I was very conscious of always trying to give the person in front of me and behind me their own experience at the finish line. I think that's so important. And so I kind of just stopped and let the person, go in front of me, but then I saw something coming, and I was like, my turn, through. And so, seeing the family at the finish line, which I did not expect with how crowded it was, and it was late for my daughter and all of that. And then, afterwards you look back and you're like, wow, what did I just achieve? And
it's emotional. You do see some people that cross the line and they bawl and they break down, and some jump up and all of a sudden they get energy and they're jumping up and down, and some people just, run through it.
People roll.
Jump
and 2 legs.
Some people have their flags.
I have my flag in many of the races.
You have many of the flag. So huge PR. As a coach, you had to be super proud, right?
Of course,
right? Not only accomplishing, massive PR, another hot race, tackled this thing from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, well, it's great to hear Ben and others talking about what happened through their day because you're reflecting on your own.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm also his coach. But so what I do is I was asking Andrea, my wife, who's there, hey, is Ben okay? I always ask them, and they may not know this, but I say, is Ben out of the water?
So
Yes.
you're asking Andrea
As
during the race.
As I'm
Always the coach, right?
as
Yeah.
I'm racing,
Yeah.
and I ask Andrea, is Ben okay? Yeah, Ben is ahead of you. Okay, shit. So, and then, is such and such, is Eduardo
Yeah.
okay? But,
Always
and
coaching.
so, and then I ask again on the bike, hey, is Ben? Yeah, he's coming. Okay. And then especially on the run, I know that Ben is probably a bit behind, and
Yeah.
I'll ask, is Ben okay? And I say, yeah, he's okay. Okay, good. So I keep going. So it's always in my mind as a coach. They make me so proud because it's a result of a lot of effort that they make.
Oh, yeah.
I make a little bit, but for them, but as I always said, they are the ones who put the effort, right?
Yeah.
And it's like having a child, right?
I 100%.
And they
Yeah.
they trust you as somebody
Yeah.
that knows a bit more or have more experience, and that's a great feeling, of course. And I'm proud of that, but I'm more proud of them than what I do. And one thing I'm not as good, but depending on how you look at it, is I always convince them to do more races.
Yeah.
So as we run together or bike together,
He's in your ear, right?
I'm like, hey, Ben, what's next? What's next? And they initially said, no, until how about this? How about that? And then they asked me how to convince their couple,
The spouse,
the spouses, and like, okay, this is how you do it. And we have fun about that. And, Ben have signed up for things that he never thought he was going to sign up, or he didn't expect to sign up. And I have other cases where people sign up for bigger races just because we were talking the peer pressure as well.
Yeah, and
do you sign up? Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's a journey. Yeah, there's something about the endurance, ultra endurance sports that you just I think it just like we talked about earlier. I think you get something. It gives back, in a way. It gives back in your life. Me up of, a lot of the energy that I get is because of them. Yeah, and it's and it's the journey through it, and it's not always about race day, right? It's a lot, and it's something your daughter will look at you and know that you've done that, and that's a big deal as well. So you finish, right, and you're done, and you come through there. You see Fernando. What happens next? So what happened next on this one in particular? I told Ben we should go to the award ceremony. Right. And he said, "Yeah, I go, and yeah, you should come because you never know. You can sometimes they roll it out. It's not that." But he wanted to come anyway. I knew I qualified for the World Championship. I got a slot, and he wanted to thank me in a way, and and it's a fun ceremony. You see the pros go up. It's the next day, right? And we went there. This year is in Nice. Yeah, Nice, France. Yeah. This particular race, Ironman Texas, has so many slots because it's the national championship. Yeah. And they also, I think there were 100 slots. And I told Ben, hey, let's go and let's stay. Maybe we get lucky. And what did you think when he said that?
I was like, oh, let's go with the flow.
Did you have that in your mind ever? Like, I'm going to go to, like, Nice can be a possibility?
I think in the back of my mind, it was obviously a possibility because I knew that if I went there with Fernando and I got a slot, then it meant I was taking it.
Yeah.
That was I'd already accepted that.
Had you told your wife?
Yeah, we had the okay. We should,
okay.
And the credit card, right?
Yeah, all the pieces. Yeah.
So the permission was already there.
That's great.
Yeah, I also am not the kind of person that gets excited about something until it happens.
Yes.
So I wasn't going in thinking like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen.
Right.
I think like I'm sat there and Fernando's like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. No, it's going to happen. You should raise your hand. You should raise your hand.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think going in, it was this is a possibility.
Right.
If everything aligns, then it'll happen. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we'll try again next year.
Was it a possibility when you lined up for the swim? Was that ever in your mind?
I went into Ironman Texas. So I talked about what my goals were when I signed up for Texas.
Yeah.
But when I went in, I was like, I'm either going to have a really good day.
Yeah.
I'm going to have, and I had some times tied to that.
Yeah.
And we talked about that on some of the runs. I said, I'm going to have an okay day, which is where I thought I would land, or we're going to have a not so great day and we'll finish, but the time won't be great. And I think it became more of a reality on the run, because even you can get 100, you can get through the bike and then everything could fall apart on the run.
For sure.
So everything could fall apart on the final lap. And I think for me, it wasn't until I got through that first lap of the run and I was like, oh wow, I'm actually running this and I'm actually doing a decent pace and then being able to, continue that. I think for me, that was where I started to realize, okay, this is going to be a really good day, not just a mediocre day.
Yeah.
He didn't like the number 13. He said, I don't want to do 13.
I wanted to go 14 to 12.
Yeah. It's funny on the run. A lot of people, especially in Texas, because it's hot, a lot of people, their run split will be slower than their bike split, which is incredible. There's a lot of people out there doing 6-hour run walks,
It's hard.
And if you're running 9-minute miles, you are passing everybody. You're running like it. Yeah. Okay, so they go the roll down, right? It's I know they do a good job in there. They hype it up, and so tell me about that. It trickles down. You got your spot. That's great. You're going back. Now one of your athletes.
I was more excited than him. He was like, like he said, like he doesn't get excited. So I'm like, hey, dude, you're gonna be here. Pay attention. It's gonna happen. I knew it. I had that kind of sense of when things are gonna happen, and I did. I don't want to say I was 100% sure, but I was pretty sure.
Feeling pretty good about it.
I was feeling pretty good, and then they start rolling it down, and it's many slots, it's neat. Not many people can make it. He's a professional that can do this. You are 34. 32.
Yeah. So 30, 35.
So there is not many people that age that can make the travel, make the effort, the time, the commitment.
The 50-year-olds they all go, right?
So
the 50-year-olds.
So I didn't. He was like maybe hesitant, or I don't know, and then I basically push him, and we have a video where I was like, okay, Ben, let's go. Let's stay right here, don't move. And then
and then you're up there.
I was up there.
Yeah, so for a lot of people, it's their, they spend a decade, or that's why they got into Ironman. I want to be in the World Championship. Like there's a big allure, now you've done that, right? On your second one, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And now you'll have your third Ironman.
In September.
And it's the World Championship. And you know what? Many people out there will say, only the fastest should be there. No, we're not professionals. We deserve to be there. And you have to be there, right?
Yeah. You have to race. You have to race to get
to be in that moment. And many people is not. And if you're not, then you're not. And that's what I argue. And I'm so happy. I don't care if people take 16:59 to finish. And if they can make it happen, this is going to the biggest race on the planet.
It's the ultimate. It's something I want to do eventually. I would love to.
I always say Ironman is like playing basketball with Shaquille O'Neal, or in their same court, in the same space. That's what people love about Ironman. So if you can do the World Championship, why not?
Absolutely.
Now, Nice is a different animal, right? Maybe you're not going to have the heat of Texas or the wind of Texas.
Oh, he doesn't know what is coming.
But I don't know if you've done your research. It is unbelievable.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So are you going to bring the family out? Have you gone that? I mean, the plans are set.
Plans are set. Yeah. We actually coincidentally had a vacation planned for France already in August. So we basically moved that to September. So I'm taking 2 weeks off just before the World Championship. My parents are coming, my sibling and her husband are coming, my wife and daughter are coming, and then I'm from the UK, so we've probably got another 15 folks coming from the UK. I said, they're just there to have a party, and they'll see me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll see me 112 miles later once I get off the bike. And
it's a big out and back. The run is on the promenade. Super flat.
I've done this race. That's a good advantage.
And good experience. Your coaches, not a lot of people have done that.
I do, and I'm gonna be there as well doing the race. And then we adjusting his plan. One of the things we adjusting is to get out more on the bike. And that's when we went out yesterday morning, 5 a.m. out on the bikes. We're running more, running longer.
I think you're also making me choose routes in Zwift that actually have some elevation. It's like you're in Texas, it's like you pick the flattest route, and like you're good to go. Elevations there.
Zwift.
Very top. I picked if he didn't figure that out yet, these are the ones.
I noticed it week 1.
And descending, it's something. It's hard to replicate it being in Houston, right? Impossible.
Yeah, this is a race that we still wondering if it's better to have a road bike or a triathlon bike for Ben in particular. And it's a very technical descent. Not only the way up is very hard, but the way down is even harder in a way because it's scary. You have to have good maneuver of the bike, and we're gonna be training that.
I've watched it, and I've watched videos on it, and it's a big climb and then a lot of descents, but with cliffs. It's
you have to be French careful. So I'll be asking about Ben all the time.
You sure will. That's super inspiring and pretty amazing. To be at the World Championship in your third Ironman or your second, qualifying at your second is a pretty big one. Do you feel like is Nice the World Championship the pinnacle, and now I'm going to on to something different?
No way.
Do you have the Ironman bug? Do you not know yet? What do you think?
There's more to do, clearly. I think for me it was now I feel like I've gotten the training down a little bit better. There's room for improvement on the bike, for sure. Significant room there. And I think what's always been scary to me is courses with elevations, and I'm going to one of the courses with the most elevation that there is in the Ironman. In the Ironman race series. I'd like to do some more races that are, maybe a little bit more like the extreme triathlons, like the Keltman or.
I know a guy.
So I'd like to look into those. I also, I hit the number 13, and that was my time was in it was in the 13 hours, and to me, I'd like to go either 12 or 10. I mean, 10's fast. It's a dream, right?
Right.
But if I can get down into the 12.
Very possible. You're still very young. So.
You are.
There's still a lot of time, and I mean, I'm younger than you were when you started this.
That's exactly right.
I know.
You are ahead of the game.
You are ahead of the game.
We'll see how it goes with the training and keeping it up, and
So what are you going to do different coaching for Nice? Besides the obvious,
we are on that as we speak. Like I said,
September's around the corner.
So for you asking for me or for him? For him, because I don't do anything different. For him,
I know what you do.
We going out more on the bike. I want Ben to handle the bike much better than he does. Run longer distance. I think is something. Not only run longer, but run longer faster, so that he can. I know he can do it, And you know, of course, the swimming, there's nothing to talk about. I have nothing to coach him
No.
on the swimming.
Yeah.
The transitions is something we need to work
Yeah.
on, and it's a matter of a bit of practice, but also understanding how to make that better. After so many races, I have that pretty well
Yeah.
tight, and then, to be honest, it's just part of the journey. I tell Ben and the rest, say, just enjoy this moment,
Yeah.
have fun. Don't stress much about the timing on your watch or more gels or more this or that. It is just another race. Embrace it, enjoy it, and have fun. You know,
Celebrate.
tell as many
Yeah.
as you can. This is part of it. Not to make him. I know he's pretty humble. He doesn't even want to say that he does this, but I think it's good for what he has been through for everything, you know, the condition, but also his life, and now it's going to the biggest race on the planet.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Why not telling others that it's possible? Whether you are 32 or 52 or 50, whatever.
57. 57.
You can do it. You can make it happen. And why not? You know?
Yeah. No, it's inspiring. It's inspiring when
It is.
when Fernando brought up, hey, one of my athletes, Ben, in the podcast, and we went through it, and it's a cool perspective. Yeah. And you are very humble, you know, and a little a matter of fact, but your achievement is incredible and something to be proud of, you know. And as a coach, you've done a great job.
Yeah.
And it's pretty inspiring, and something that, you know, the Ironman, you know, the anything is possible.
For sure. And I tell them not to. I don't want to be a coach. I want to be their friend in a way for this. But also beyond that, you know, is I just want to guide them as best as I can with what I know, and my guidance is not only technical but mental, and hopefully they take the experience I had with this and they take it home like I have, you know. And I agree, this is hopefully one of the best videos we have done. You know?
Your daughter's gonna be proud of you.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. You can let her watch it. Awesome.
All right, cool. Thank you.
It's a wrap.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay, let's welcome the first timer from Pensacola, Florida. Woo! 39-year-old. All right, Abe, smile. Abe Nolan, you are Ironman. Followed by 29-year-old first timer from Houston, Texas. Thompson, you are Ironman. Welcome from Galloway, Ohio. 66-year-old smiling face late runner.